Hey everybody, Ronnie here. Let's see here. Am I actually streaming? Okay, I think I've got it. Alright. Good to see that is working. Alright, so today, as I'm waiting for people to come in, I hope people come in. But anyhow, for today, I've got a couple of news stories to do. If I get any viewers that come in, I'll be glad to do, um, answer questions or reply to comments. And we can always check and see if we've got any of those super cool comments on my videos that I can respond to as well. The first thing that I wanted to do is let me find this. There we go. So the first thing I wanted to do is show this. Okay, I'm not going to actually play it, but I think that this is a fantastic example of a trucker doing trucker things. Okay, this is over on Bonehead Truckers. This is not a Bonehead Trucker. It was sent in by a four-wheeler, and it was just a couple of terrible people. But this is, without a doubt, an example of a trucker that is not a bonehead. All right. I think we should all aspire to be more like this guy. He's, by the way, a Werner driver. You can see that, Werner. But, yeah, running on the Dollar General account, and a fantastic driver. He's my hero now. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about, the first story, this is over on Jalopnik. Jalopnik is, hey, Fred, Fred, Jeff, how are you doing today? I am having a day. I've been working the graveyard shifts. Okay, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I did not get very much sleep last night or this morning. So that's the thing. Anyhow, can you hear me okay? Well, I'll wait for that. I'll go ahead and get into this. Jalopnik's not really one of those sites that has a lot of trucker news in it, but it's more for the four-wheelers. But this one is about a semi-truck. All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. This Amtrak train evidently ran into a truck. It happens. This is today's PSA. All right, but it says here, Florida is infamous for having the deadliest train line in the country, largely because of the high number of at-grade crossings The most recent incident doesn't involve Brightline and thankfully has no fatalities. Last Friday, an Amtrak train collided with a car transporter in Central Florida, leaving several people injured. It was a parking lot. We'll see. Maybe I'll play the video on here. But it says Amtrak Silver Star was heading northbound from Miami, Florida to Penn Station in New York City. According to WPTV, a semi-truck pulling a car transporter carrying 7 vehicles. The 2 vehicles would collide after the train left the Amtrak station in Lakeland, Florida. The truck became stuck on the tracks as the train was traveling east at 78 miles per hour alongside U.S. Route 92. The truck driver and passenger escaped the cab as the crossing arms attempted to close. The Amtrak train slammed into the truck and carried on for 200 yards before coming to a halt. The Silver Star was carrying 163 passengers and a crew of 10 people. The crash injured 8 people, and they were taken to the hospital. Amtrak arranges for transportation for the remaining passengers and crew back to Tampa. Sheriff Grady Judd of Polk County said it is truly a miracle that nobody was seriously hurt in this crash. A collision between our passenger train and a semi-truck could have been much worse. Our sympathies are with those who were injured. I don't think I could say enough about the incredible response and total team effort by all of the agencies involved. The sheriff's office estimated the incident cost would be between $6 million and $10 million from factoring in downtime, cleanup, and damage to the train and tracks. The truck driver was cited for insufficient clearance at railroad crossings. So, as I have said before, know your trailer's limits. Okay, not we're trained from the beginning to know how high our trailers are. Okay, most of the trailers out there are 13.6. A lot of the trailers that I work with every day are 14-foot trailers. But that's really about as high as they go as far as boxes go. When you get into flatbeds, then you can get up above that. And, of course, with flatbeds and some of these car haulers, you get some real low clearances, okay, the low boys. And, this driver just, I guess he figured he could make it across, and he didn't. That's the sad thing. Once you bottom out, you're stuck. Okay, you've got all the weight of, in this case, that car hauler. All the weight of all those cars bearing down on one point, and nothing's going to move that. So, I probably could with my yard goat, but I could change its height. But anyhow, I thought that was an important little thing to pop up. A PSA. Remember, don't make sure you know how high and how low you are. Okay, and pay attention to the signs. Let's see here. How about a good news story? I've got one of those. This one's from CDL Life. But this week, the U.S. Department of Labor issued a notice in hopes of locating former employees of a national auto parts distributor and its delivery company who are owed millions of dollars. On July 11th, 2023, the Department of Labor issued a public statement aimed at helping them locate more than 1,300 drivers who worked for Parts Authority Arizona, LLC, and Arizona Logistics Incorporated. And evidently, they were both operating as Diligent Delivery Systems. The feds say that in November of 2022, the DOL obtained a judgment in the U.S. District Court for the District of Arizona, requiring the companies to pay $5.6 million in back wages and in damages because the workers were misclassified as independent contractors. This is, I'm pretty sure, a thing that's going to be recurring over the next couple of years with the everybody, especially since AB5 passed in California, they are really cracking down on what an IC is. So the company is accused of violating the Fair Labor Standards Act for failing to meet minimum wage requirements, paying straight time rates for all hours worked, not paying the time and a half overtime rate for hours over 40 in a work week, and failing to keep required timekeeping records. As part of the investigation, the Department of Labor investigators determined that drivers were required to use their personal vehicles to make deliveries and were not paid for that use. Well, I couldn't make a personal delivery of my personal vehicles. But the DOL is asking people who worked while classified as independent contractors for Parts Authority and Diligent Delivery Systems from April 2012 through March 2020, and who believe the employer may have denied them full wages, to give them a call. The number's right there. I will, when I break this up and put it on my channel, I'll put the phone number right here on the screen. Their hours are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. That's kind of the crappy part, I guess. Let's go ahead and make it so you have to call to get your money, but only call during work hours. But the Department of Labor said workers are strongly encouraged to act quickly. We want to make sure that Parts Authority Arizona and Arizona Logistics workers receive all the wages and damages owed to them. And Wage and Hour Division District Director Eric Murray in Phoenix said workers may be difficult to locate when they change address or phone numbers, and they may not be aware that they're owed back pay. The Department of Labor can't talk. Wage and Hour Division and its Office of the Solicitor is working diligently to ensure that the more than 1,300 underpaid employees get their shares of the $5.6 million that the agency has recovered for them. Wow, that's a few bucks. How much does that work out to per person? I can pull up my calculator and find out. So 5,600,000 divided by 1,300. Yeah, that's not a bad chunk of change. It's about $4,500 or $4,300 a person. So, if you know anyone that has worked there in Arizona, or if you are one of those people, make sure you give that number a call. It's $4,300 for you. It's not free money. You already worked for it, but it's your money. All right. And let's check. Do we have any? Nope. All righty. Woohoo. Up, and here comes Alpha 16. Yes, sweetie. What do you want?
I want, I want Levi play with me.
Okay, go tell Levi I said play with you.
I'm hungry.
All right, go tell mommy that you need food.
She's sleepy.
Okay, well, I'll make dinner as soon as I'm done with this.
When are you die?
Soon.
When?
Soon. All right, come on.
What time?
I'm live. I'm actually talking to real people right now.
Real people.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay. All right, move on.
Yeah. Boo, 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 boo.
All right, give me kisses. All right, go.
Yeah.
All right, go play.
Yeah.
All right. And that's live, right? So the third story that I wanted to cover today, it's a real big one. It's on the screen for a second there, and we'll go ahead and put this back up. This is from FreightWaves, and well, the title kind of says it all, right? Well, maybe not all, but evidently Yellow failed to pay $50 million in required contributions to the Teamsters retirement and health care funds. 25 million last month and 25 million this month. It's not a good thing, and the fact is that the Teamsters could very well go on strike this week. This week. But it says, and this is by Todd Maiden. One thing I like about FreightWaves, they always make sure that they give the byline to the person that wrote the article. So a delinquency notice was issued Monday showing LTL carrier Yellow failed to make required contributions to both the healthcare and welfare and pension funds for the month of June, and that it's planning to withhold payments for July. The two periods total more than $50 million. The Teamsters at Yellow, well, it says YRC Freight and Holland that are covered under plans they are covered under plans managed by Central States, and they're the ones that will be impacted. The letter said healthcare claims incurred after Saturday would not be paid unless employees choose to remit self-payments. The company's participation in the pension plan would be terminated effective Sunday if payment is not made. That means no further accruals of pension benefits. A letter showed Yellow was making the move to avoid running out of cash. And that's kind of like the big thing. They pushed off their creditors. Okay, Yellow's having serious financial issues. Okay, they're without putting any mincing words. Yellow is going to go bankrupt. Okay, and this is probably going to be the final nail in their coffin. But if their drivers go on strike on the 24th, that's next Monday, I guess, then they don't stand a chance. If in the future Yellow fully pays the required contributions, pension benefits and health coverage will be reinstated retroactive to July 23rd. A separate letter from John Murphy, co-chair of the Teamsters Negotiating Committee, to local unions invoked a more dire tone. In the notice, he cited language from the collective bargaining agreement outlining a potential work stoppage. In the event an employer is delinquent in its health and welfare or pension payments in the manner required by the applicable supplemental agreement, the local union shall have the right to take whatever action it deems necessary until such delinquent payments are made. The document referenced the union's requirement to give the employer 72 hours notice of a strike authorization. Murphy advised the local unions to send notice to YRC Freight in Holland, demanding payment by Friday or risk a work stoppage on or after July 24th. Yellow previously asked the funds for contribution deferrals for the months of July and August, but the company never indicated whether or not those requests had been approved. Evidently, they weren't. Roughly half of Yellow's Teamster employees are covered by Central States. Last week, Yellow was granted a covenant waiver from lenders. That's what I was just talking about, pushing their loans out. The company's lending agreements require it to maintain a level of $200 million in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization for the prior 12 months. Yellow has generated just $89 million in the fourth and first quarters. That filing also showed that the company had in excess of $100 million in cash and equivalents as of June 30th. So a little over $100 million in cash plus $89 million in revenue. They reached that 200 million point. But even if these payments are cured, it would significantly reduce the company's cash balance. That's from Deutsche Bank analyst Amit Mehrotra. He said that on Monday in an email. This is perhaps the most tangible example of why we think it's more likely than not that Yellow will go out of business. We are aware of the decision of Central States Health Fund and pension funds to decline our request to defer contributions with interest for July and August, a spokesperson with Yellow told FreightWaves. We regret that the funds have rejected our request. Even today, we remain committed to negotiating a new contract with the IBT, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, which would provide everyone, especially our employees, with a clear path forward. We're not giving up. We will work with all parties involved to come to a speedy resolution. Sadly, I don't see it happening. Okay? If they don't maintain that $200 million bubble, then everything else comes rushing in. Okay? If they pay even half, $25 million, that's going to drop them down under that $200 million bubble that they're required to keep their creditors at bay. And you know, then all of a sudden they're looking at bankruptcy again. So it's, you know, screwed if you do, screwed if you don't. Either their creditors are going to come in and force them into bankruptcy, or they're not going to be able to have the revenue because the Teamsters are going to strike. And that doesn't mean their costs are going to stop. So this situation right here very, very well might actually be the final straw, the nail in the coffin for Yellow. All right, that's really all of the news stuff that I had planned on. And so why don't we get a look at comments. I'm not expecting that there are very many comments, because I just was so busy this week, so I wasn't putting up a lot of content. But over here on Do Your Pre-Trip, which I did yesterday, I guess, user, I like that name, says, "Hello, I'm about to start driving with Super Ego. Just wondering what your overall experience with them was." My overall experience with Super Ego was fantastic. Okay, I've said that over and over before, and I did not put this up. Okay, there we go. Happy, woohoo! But yeah, no, my overall experience with Super Ego was great. Okay, when I first got started, this is back last year, but when I first got started, I just was full of myself. I thought, oh, I can do this, no problem. And it turns out that I was not right. But I very quickly realized that I was doing things wrong. Okay? That there was something that I was not doing right. And so I stopped, took a deep breath, did some research, and figured out what I was doing wrong. And the big one was that I was not, I wasn't fueling. I wasn't saving money when I could. Okay, I kind of had that, company driver mindset. Okay, drive down the road, get to where you're going. Just make sure there's fuel in the truck and go. And I made some changes. Number one, I started the business. Okay, I got the LLC. I opted to be taxed as an S corp. I set up payroll and paid myself as a W-2 employee. The second thing I did was started buying my fuel at a discount. Super Ego will provide you with a fuel card. It's an EFS card. They will not. It does not come with any appreciable discounts. I think you get like 5 cents off a gallon with that card. I was using Mudflap a lot. Okay, I have a TCS card, and I have an A to B card. Okay, and A to B I think is owned by Uber, but they're all discount programs. Okay, you have to buy fuel in network to get them, but they all have apps for the phone, and on your fueling days, for me it was basically every other day. You just go and look and see where you're going to be during the day, where your best price for fuel is, and plan that out at the very beginning of your day. If you can keep your costs down, you can make some pretty good money. From my first live broadcast, that's last week's broadcast, Michael says, "Stay positive, brother." Thank you much. Let's see here. Christian says, "I agree. If it's safe to do so, we got to stop and help." Once again, that's from the video that I did last week on the trucker, the federal lease task force meeting. But the the second story that I talked about was, or it wasn't really a story, but it was about covering the, if another trucker is in real trouble, stop and help. Okay, without a doubt. Thank you, Lynn. That's from my wife's uncle. That was sad. Wimbledon useful. I like that. Do their load board shows the earnings you can make from the load before you head to the shipper. Super Ego does not have a load board for you to go to. Okay, Super Ego goes and uses load boards to find the loads for you. When it's time for, when you need a load, your dispatcher will go on the load boards. They'll find 1 or 2, maybe 3 loads. Call you back, give you the details about those loads. Okay, where the pickup is, how many deadhead miles you're looking at, where the delivery is, how many total miles there are on the load, how much the load weighs, and how much the load pays. And if you like all that information, you tell your dispatcher, go ahead and book it. Okay, and at that point, your dispatcher will go back and book the load. Don't get into a deep discussion. Okay, these loads are going real fast these days. All right, so your dispatcher is not going to book you a load until you say go ahead and book it. So tell them to book it, get off the phone, let them do their job. Don't sit there and talk about the kids. Don't talk about the weather. Okay, none of that's important at that moment. Let them get back on their job and get that load booked. Now, if there's something about the load that you don't like, okay, you don't like where the pickup is, okay, you don't like where the delivery is, you would rather go home, whatever. Maybe you think that it's not paying well enough. Then just tell your dispatcher, no, that one's not going to work for me. But tell your dispatcher what it is about it that doesn't work for you. Okay? Maybe it's going to New York City. Okay? You can't pay me enough to go to New York City. Maybe, like I said, maybe you've been out for 3 or 4 weeks and you want to go home. Tell your dispatcher, I want to go home. Okay? Find me something going that way. And that's exactly what they'll do. They haven't booked the load yet, okay, so it's no sweat off their back. They'll go back to the load boards. They'll look at what they can find, going where you want to go, or not going where you don't want to go. Hunter says, Super Ego never offered me the option for an older truck. Every time I brought it up, they stopped talking and went back to the new truck talk. And OTR sounds like a good company to talk with. I've talked with a few salespeople there. Yeah, Super Ego's usually got some older trucks available. Okay, not a large number of them. All right, they want to make sure that their truckers are taken care of properly. Okay, and the best way to do that is make sure that they're in good quality equipment. And, sadly, older equipment isn't necessarily always good quality equipment. If the person, the yard manager that you spoke with, that was showing you trucks, knew that there was not a good older truck available, then yeah, he'll steer you right back to the newer stuff. Keep in mind, he's not making money on selling you a truck. Okay. What the company makes money on is you successfully delivering loads. And that is what the number one thing is. So if they don't have the equipment that is, some older equipment that they know is going to be good for you, then yeah, they're going to go ahead and steer you more towards a newer truck. Not necessarily brand new, okay? But, 2-3 years old, those still have a lot of time on their clocks. And I don't want it to sound like I was giving OTR any that's OTR leasing any flack. Okay. What I was just mentioning is that if you go onto their site, you can look at the inventory that they've got, and it's all 2017, 2018, 2019 stuff. Okay, you're not going to find a 23. You're not going to find a 24 in the bunch. And with what the lease task force is talking about is, maybe, drivers and company owners shouldn't be given the option to purchase an older truck through a lease. Not that much older. All right. We got a couple about the accident. Thank you very much for your thoughts. And there's a couple that we've done already. Now they're probably going to get some hate from folks about what I talked about yellow here, but yeah, there's one other thing that just has really let's see if there's anything that's been held for review. No. Okay. So but yeah, the strange thing that I just don't understand. Okay, these are my views for like the last month, and you see in the last couple of days they've just really gone up. Okay, I've had over 6,000 views in just the last 48 hours, and they're all coming from this video. Not all of them, but a not insignificant number. This is one that I put out. Alright, don't remember the date. It's not that old. Okay, maybe a month old. But over 5,800 views in the last 48 hours, and it's just road footage. Okay, it's 20 minutes of road footage from Utah to Oregon. That is really just absolutely blows my mind. But yeah, let me see if we got a date on that. Here it is. Utah to Oregon, June 15th. So right about a month ago. This has got 10,000 views, 11,000. That's one of my top videos now. And I just do not understand why. If you got any ideas, definitely let me know. Just drives me crazy not knowing. So, I guess I'm sitting here talking to myself, so I'll go ahead and wrap this up for today. If you have any questions, comments, please put them down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.